BIC episode one number 139. Eric needs to get back to his hyperbaric chamber and all kinds of other bougie things after his bike ride of indiscriminate distances. This is the post-national edition. Again, none of us went to the national. That's not the point. We'll still touch on a topic related to it, but none of us actually went to the national. We've got some feedback from last episode, and I made a video earlier that dropped earlier today that I'm recording on the Monday. This episode drops on Tuesday, but I got some good feedback on there as well. So we'll touch on some of that feedback. We'll touch on some of this national stuff and some of the things that came out of it. And actually, on the cusp of that video, I also have another little pet peeve kind of question topic thing that I like to talk about. So I'll touch on that. We've actually got some pickups, so we'll talk about that as well. And then one other thing that I'll mention as well in relation to that is that I already alluded to it, but there will also be another national related video, a discussion. A few people have already guessed who it is. I did drop some hints, but nonetheless, that will be coming up. So this is dropping on Tuesday. That conversation will drop on Wednesday or Thursday, just depending on how quick the turnaround time is on the record. But lots of things. Eric, a smorgasbord of stuff. That and more on this episode of the AC Podcast. Under the watchful eyes of Brett Favre. So you see, Eric, it's a smorgasbord. You know it's serious when it's a smorgasbord.
Yeah, see, I prefer a cornucopia.
Well, we're gonna have to go with what we got, man. It's a lot of stuff going on. So as a result of that, and because of the fact that we've got all that stuff going on, we're gonna get right into it because Eric said, like, listen, Eric's like, I could be here for days, hours, weeks, and I'm like, no, Eric, we gotta get through this. We gotta make this happen and get through it. So we're gonna have to move on quickly.
How that conversation went. We really do.
I think that's exactly
wall and get those pre-recorded videos up. I think because that's not how that conversation went.
I believe that's exactly how it went, Brandon. That is how I remember it, and that is how history shall remember it because that's how it was recorded. Mm-hmm. Indeed. So let me quickly go into let's do the silly card of the week right off the top, and then we'll get into some pickups and some of the other fun stuff. I'll quickly be able to go into last week's results. Thank you all for participating in that. So we did have a number of you. What was that?
I said, come on, let's go.
All right. So here are results.
Come on.
We got Floating Cubs at 37% of the popular vote. 1989 Max with 13% of the popular vote and the 1,000-yard stare. Eric, you should have known. 6970 Opeachy. Everything's Opeachy. The 1,000-yard stare. 50% of the popular vote is the winner this week on the silly card of the week. The silly card of the week, as always, is brought to us by AMG Collectibles, AMGcollectibles.ca, and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. There will be a new episode that's going to be dropping. We recorded tomorrow and also uploaded tomorrow. Steve, the collector, the scallops, collector, the people, and myself will go over some new things that came in the shop. I can't remember if there's a new product or not. I'll double check with him. But regardless, we will be talking about that. Alas, Steve will not be able to regale us with his undying love because I know for a fact this week is 2025 Upper Deck AEW. And Steve, as you all know, is all about the wrestling. But I don't think we'll be talking about that. If we're going to talk about something, it'll probably be one of the hockeys. That'd be my guess. But we'll see. We'll see what product comes up. But there will be cards that definitely came in the shop. I have some of them, so there's some interesting stuff that came in. So thank you to AMG for supporting the podcast and the channel. All right. So I like the direction that this week's Silly Card of the Week candidates have taken. So very interesting, very interesting. So why don't we do this? We'll get right into it. We'll let everybody offer. Again, there'll be a community post as always. You'll be able to vote for your favorites. We count every vote. It is the only true democracy in this world. So let's get right into it and take a look at some of these options this week. First one I think belongs to you, Eric. Explain yourself.
Okay, so this is Series 1 of the 1978 Superman the movie card set. And this is one of the first movies that really made an impact of my young life. Superman was pretty cool as a young kid. And as I got older, I started to read stories and hear stories and about how difficult Marlon Brando was during the filming of this movie. And knowing what I know and seeing him on a card and in this scene, it really, it makes it even sillier because Marlon Brando was extremely, extremely difficult on set. He only did this for the paycheck because he needed money. He had no idea about Superman, the characters, superhero movies, nothing. From what I understand, I believe he was drunk most of the time. Had cue cards. He refused to learn his lines, so they had to put cue cards up for him. Showed up late, left early. I mean, he was just a miserable SOB the entire time. And so you're dealing with this not such swell fella, and they hand him a baby. And in this scene, you're going to interact kindly and lovingly to this baby, which is your son and the future Superman of Earth. And his breath probably stunk like booze. And he's holding that baby like, not like a loving father, but like, please somebody come take this rotten kid out of my hands so I can go back to the trailer and get a drink. The baby doesn't look interested in him. Again, probably because his breath smells like, cheap whiskey. And I just get a kick out of every time I see this card, knowing what a miserable bastard he was on set. And then they're like, here, hold the baby.
Mm. Brandon, I'm thinking two things here. First of all, my first thought that comes to mind here is hearing Eric's description. All I'm hearing, it basically sounds like what we have to deal with Eric every week. The prima donna that is Eric.
My first thought when looking at the card was, are we even allowed to show this? Because how many damn trademarks can you put on the front of one single card?
There are a lot of trademarks. Yeah.
There's a TM everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happens. Well, Streetcar Named Desire didn't, this was not. But nonetheless, we move on. Second one. Plays close to my heart. Believe it or not, this is not my choice. This was not my selection. But I do appreciate the Venn diagram, Brandon, of what you did here. Please explain it, by all means. Feel free to explain it.
So I will admit I was a little late and forgot. So I was tardy, and I had some cards sitting here that I was like, they're future candidates for Silly Card of the Week. And this card has a smorgasbord of Because I'm Carlos memology to it. I mean, first
memology.
You got the label. You got the BCCCCCCCCG.
Yes.
Then you got the Chosen Rosen.
Yep.
Okay. Then you got the leaf from the Big Fridays.
You do, yeah.
It just goes on and on. The Beckett connection on the back, the Beckett.org, or Beckett.com. My apologies.
Beckett.org is
I just think
Eric's
this
website.
is like Grail Because I'm Carlos material right here. So
it's pretty strong, Eric. I gotta admit, pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean the BCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCCC
does.
And
Strengthens
you
the
gotta
case.
love the 10 grade when
Oh,
that
yeah.
centering
Or
is
better.
perfection.
It's mint
Mhm.
or better. So
True,
Beckett admits that mint isn't even their highest quality. It could be better than mint
Mhm. Or
Yeah.
better.
or better.
Strong. A strong candidate. This cannot be denied. I figured this one would be a fun one. This is one that came up on the Discord, but when I saw it, I thought, you know what? A little bit of an opportunity here. Let's talk about Christian Campbell. Christian with a K, by the way.
Yeah.
But
He's
Tristan
on my
Campbell, I
fantasy
think.
team.
Yeah. So we like this. So a couple of things here. First of all, I do appreciate the shininess of it. Second of all, I appreciate the signature, which definitely looks like a Christian Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
I totally make that out there. I can
Yeah.
definitely see that. I see what you're doing there. But I think the best part on top of it, I like to think that the look on his face is what was going on during the autograph signing. It's this that
Yeah.
gets my attention.
And
Like, what's going on, Brandon? He's running. What's going on there? Like, is he horrified? But what is it? Is he like not want to reach his destination?
He's
What's
scared.
happening here?
He's scared.
I'm gonna
scared.
say,
Somebody's chasing him.
you know, they took the Stadium Club Chrome products away. I don't even know if they're giving us regular Stadium Club anymore. I haven't heard anything about it for this year. But the photo selections of Topps and Topps Chrome on many of the players has been, they could be silly card of the week candidates. I don't know who, if it's a budget thing, hey, that's a shitty picture. Slap it on the card. I don't know, but I haven't been too impressed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a lot of running. It's
It
been a
really
lot
is.
of running photos.
Yep.
And why
that is
can't
my
these guys get helmets that fit? His helmet is about to fly off because he's running.
Mhm.
Like, aren't they supposed to be on tight? Like, if my mountain bike helmet comes off as I start to fall, it's useless to me. Why?
Doesn't
Why
your
do
helmet
their
have a
helmets
chin
come off
strap
so
though?
easy?
You do have a chin strap that should be in theory keeping it on.
Well, maybe that's what they should do, is have chin straps on baseball helmets. They wear other mitts to slide into second. I mean, they're obviously very into safety nowadays.
I guess so. So there is my candidate. Another interesting group of selections. So all of you, the community post will be given there. You can make your favorite selection and decide which one of them is a silly card of the week. We appreciate your participation in this one, as always. Now, let's get into the pickups here. We'll go through these quickly. We won't spend too much time on them because we want to make sure we get through. We're trying to, again, despite Eric's insistence that we spend out, he wanted to do a 4-hour show.
No.
Literally a 4-hour show. Just
No.
a 4-hour podcast, which is wild, scandalous. No. But I figured that we'd take it a little bit easy this week, so we'll try to do that. I'm going to quickly go over mine, appropriate with Brandon's selection, and I think Brandon's got a couple of pickups as well, so we'll touch on those. So bear with me here. Let me go here. Boom, new pickups. Look at that, beautiful. All right,
Fancy.
so let me show. I know production
That's
values
almost
off the
like
charts.
effort.
I know, right?
Any more than that, like if it had an asterisk or a star or something, I'd have to call you out.
We need to get the little jingle bell like on ESPN and stuff when a score alert comes on or something.
Yes.
We need sound effects to go with it.
Yes. So this is actually a new pickup from this week. This was picked up on eBay, so it's en route. It is from the Spectra, so 2018 Spectra. We've got a dual, patch autograph of the Chosen Rosen and Christian Kirk, which, by the way, I think, I could be dimistaken. I thought I saw this, did a quick Google search. I think Christian Kirk is now taken up with the Texans. I could be mistaken, but I thought
I think he's still floating around.
And he didn't understand the assignment. Keep your name on the sticker.
So let's see.
He also used purple.
He did? Yeah. But I will say this. My favorite thing, I actually really like Spectra. I was a big fan of the 2018 Spectra product. I'm a fan of it. So if I'm going to get a Chosen Rosen card, I can get it. I think this one's numbered to 20. Again, not very inexpensive. We're talking like Reggie Lemon dollars, so not a lot.
Hey, that's not nice. There's no reason to attack Reggie.
He didn't do nothing. Eric, what are you suggesting about Reggie? All I said was Reggie Lemon dollars. You're the one who's suggesting it's low.
You said it didn't cost very much. We're talking Reggie Lemon dollars.
May I remind you, Eric, being the conduit of monies, the like button connoisseur that you are, you're rich. So what is not a lot of money to you is the GDP of a small country.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
think about it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But nonetheless, we got some shininess. We got some Chosen Rosen. I'm a fan. I like it. So that's my pickup this week. Brandon, what do you got for us?
I have 2 that just came in. I purchased a couple more, but I'll share them when they come in. The first is Zimmerman 05 Topps update. Technically, okay, we're gonna go deep here with throwing the shout out to Victor again. So this one says first year, as you see there, and then 06 is his rookie card. So that's the way they did Zimmerman, but this is the Topps Gold. And then I recently picked up a Robert Kirkman auto. I believe we might have shared that on here. But I was browsing the set it came out of, and I came across this one, which is Rob Liefeld, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. But he is the creator of Deadpool. And Deadpool is one of my... I'm not a huge comic Marvel fan, but I like Venom, Carnage, and Deadpool, and so I thought that'd be a cool one to add.
Very nice, very nice. Any pickups this week, Eric? Anything for you?
Yeah, I picked up this really nice one of my acquaintance and non-zombie Ray Bork. That is a patch. It's a very nice patch. And the next time I see Ray, I'm going to have him sign the card. I have done that many times where I pick up, patch and or jersey cards or stick cards and have him sign them because they're mine and that's what I like. So The next time I see him, I'll have him sign that, and I think I'm going to do it in yellow paint pen across his body. So I think that's what I'm going to do.
And the inscription "Brains" will be free.
No, I will not have him do that.
Brains! Exclamation point.
We're trying to keep this, family friendly here, Eric.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about painting the body.
What about the card, though?
Yeah.
Body paint?
No, yellow paint pen, and he's going to sign it across his body, which is he's wearing a black uniform. So it will.
Oh, you mean on the card now?
Yes.
Okay. We're asking these questions.
We're just trying to make sure that we don't get kicked off.
Yeah, and this is out of 35. So this is number 30 out of 35, and it's a really nice patch piece. So, yeah, I'm going to have him sign it in probably yellow paint pen.
Indeed. So there's the pickups for this week. We'll check it out. One thing I did mention real quick to the guys is that I had one of my safe searches got a hit on a potentially interesting card. Hopefully, cross my fingers, maybe I'll have something. There may be a megabit involved, that's all I'm saying. So now I got to wait until later on in the week to find out. So right now I'm on standby. That Joseph Rosen card was purchased just before that. Then this one came up and I was like, all right, halt everything, stop everything. I need to hold back because I need to take my best shot at this. We'll see. There's a chance I'll be able to add a new piece to one of the collections, but we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so let's get into this. A couple of things. Really good comments and kind of responses to last week's episode and also to the video I did earlier today. So let me touch on a couple of those things. So we'll start off with last week's episode. Ham was into a couple of comments. First one was Bobbles on point with that shirt from the episode. Ham was on that. And obviously Ham also joined us on the live on Friday. Did Yeoman's work, made 2 appearances. He did one from the hotel room and a second one from the Tiki Bar. So if you watch the live, you can see that. Yes.
Since Ham appreciated the He-Man shirt, he would probably appreciate this one. Guy Harvey. It's a fishing, like he does like the fishing stuff. I'm not getting up, turning around and all that, but there's like fish on the back and everything of it. So he's probably familiar with the Guy Harvey brand.
There you go. I like that. Ham's second comment was, I usually target the first ones of autographs as that's when they put in the most effort. #effort. Not everyone, but most of them for sure. I'm surprised we don't get videos of signings. Could be down the road. We'll see. Josh here responded. A couple of things. First, thank you for the negative 2 days, not national coverage. Always, Josh. And second, I heard Eric doing the maths in this episode. It was dangerous. There was dangerous maths being invoked there.
I know this is Monday, but I'm sorry. Shut up, Josh. Thank you.
Robert here followed up with 2 fun facts. We do appreciate some fun facts. Number 1, Jennifer Tilly, born in the U.S. but grew up in Canada. Number 2, original last name is Chan. She is of half Chinese heritage on the father's side. Love some fun facts. Thank you, Robert.
Love fun facts. Did not know any of those things.
Yes. The Burrell followed up here. Ice cream cake again. Eric, there's no such thing. If you shape spam into the likes of a cake, it's still spam. Sanderson Door, wrong. Ice cream cake is real. The cake is alive, but the ice cream cake is real per Sanderson Door.
So we had ice cream cake yesterday, celebrated my son's 35th birthday, had a big party for him, and we had ice cream cake, and it was freaking delicious.
Love it. So some good comments from last week's episode. And then from the video I posted a little bit earlier today, we record this on a Monday. So I did talk about, I don't understand why questions. And a lot of you understood the assignment. So I'll go through a couple of these comments here. Philly Joe gave us the thumbs up. Always appreciate that. Josh here says, I assume with the announcement of the National coming to Detroit, we're going to talk about that again in a minute. That will be the year the not national coverage happens live from Vegas. Got to be honest. I love it. I love it on levels. Because I'm literally driving distance from Detroit, Brandon, which would make my intentionally not going to the National and instead doing my not national coverage from Vegas even better. The key is like you could literally put it right at the border and it's like, put it in Buffalo. It's like, nope. Straight over, not national coverage from Vegas. I'm at Caesar's Palace, Brandon, doing the national coverage. Here we are. All right, so there you go. So we'll see. The Burrell here says, I don't understand why. I enjoy watching your videos. Truly a grand mystery. Thank you, the Burrell. Paul says, now Paul's got a good one here. I don't understand why. So if you check out the video, you'll understand why I don't understand why is a good precursor. Like Simon says, I don't understand why Eric isn't covered in honey and isn't chained to a boulder beside an anthill. That is probably the first valid question that has ever began with that prefix.
That's so random. I know Paul's a sick human being, but that's just so random.
but also very specific. I appreciate the specificity of it.
Huh.
It's really down to the detail. There's a lot there.
Huh.
Yep. Dan's Vintage Baseball PC says, I don't understand why people ask questions with the preface of, I don't understand why. The world may never know. Good call, Dan. Zach here says, I'm confused. Well, see, already we're starting off with the wrong prefix, but nonetheless, I will read the comment. I am confused why the YouTube get-together wasn't planned. We'll touch on that again in a moment. They just assumed the hotel was going to let it happen. I remember years past, they announced the location of the space they had reserved. They're talking about the hotel not letting it happen. I was shocked they hadn't communicated with the hotel before not being there. I'm assuming they had done this in the hotel before with problem, and that's why. So we will touch on this again on this episode, and also I will touch on it again with a guest later this week. Sneak preview already given. Paul here responded, the get-together wasn't meant to be a mini trade night. The hotel took it that way, and Phil preemptively moved it. Speaking of, the Phil Filmington moved to the Tiki Bar, which again, on the Friday Live, you got a chance to see a little bit of the Tiki Bar as Rick Vintage Oddball Cards hung out there for his pre-drinking before he went to the rave. Just saying.
Phil only lives like 20 minutes from me. I'm surprised I don't see him more.
Oh, he's probably planning the next rave. We don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
There could be a lot going on over there, man.
Yeah,
He's an interesting dude.
it take no time at all to get to him. He doesn't live that far away.
Maybe he's scared of zombie Ray Bork. He doesn't. He has brains to lose.
You know, he's never asked to meet him, so maybe he is a little nervous.
Could be. He's seen The Walking Dead. He knows what he's getting into. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm not dealing with that shit. Let's see here. So a lot of it back and forth, so we'll touch on that. Another one here that was actually really good. A little bit of feedback as well from Srey. And this one was, the National was better organized than the past couple. So this is feedback on the National. Don't expect a new attendance record. Only miss was not spreading out the upstairs a bit more, which we did hear from some other folks as well. See modern dealers a bit busier than vintage dealers, but both groups seem to be doing well. So good feedback. Appreciate that. That was a good comment. And then Jay said, video debate between Geoff and Son about investor versus flipper was amusing as staged. Can't recall the card purchase, but the debate as it was oddly interesting. Both arguments flawed from perspective. And I'm pretty sure that was during one of the videos where Geoff was basically going with his son to try to find a card they were going to buy for basically purposes. The son was trying to do the quick flip, whereas Geoff was trying to do it from the investment perspective, where basically he was trying to pitch like older cards, basically the rookie cards that are autographed, the same shit that he collects, basically trying to pitch it. It was kind of, again, I agree with Jay. It was kind of a flawed argument for both sides. But again, if your goal is to make money, the quick flip is just as good as any. Like, whatever. You may buy something and then flip it. That's basically the thing. The sports card investor doesn't really do a lot of sports card investing. He just kind of buys stuff and hopes it goes up. I don't know if that's really good investing. But it can work, but like, there's no skill involved in that. That's just like, buy a bunch of stuff and hope that somebody else gets into it after you promote it with 50 videos. So I don't know if that really counts as investing. It was a flawed argument. I did catch that. I did find it amusing. I will agree with that portion of it, for sure. As I say, I'm assuming that's what he was referring to. But nonetheless, some good comments.
Just to point out again, somebody put into our comment box discussing Jeff Wilson, and we're responding to a comment about Jeff Wilson.
I know, Eric. You're welcome.
Just continue to prove my point, people.
Yeah. Well, listen. Another red letter day. And once again, Eric, you can go and pray in the direction of Mecca, CardJQ, and you're all set. I love it. Fantastic.
That's east.
Yep.
So, okay. That way is Atlanta.
Love it. Now, unfortunately, not everything came up, Geoff. I'll use this segue, Brandon, to get us into the national discussion. Not everything came up, Geoff, because the finalists for the target for the 2028 National were down to Detroit Rock City and Atlanta, home of Cards HQ, home of Mecca for Eric Sanderson d'Or, as he worships his hero, Geoff. But alas, Brandon, I believe, my opinion, this is merely my theory, I believe that despite a full court press by Geoff and the Cards HQites, they were defeated by the lobby of the Burrells and their anti-Atlanta stance. They won the day, and the 2028 National, officially announced, will be going to Detroit in 2028.
And I am not joking. I am not joking right this second. You just announcing that, you were more enthusiastic in announcing the National is going to Detroit than the actual gentleman who stood on a stage and announced the National is going to Detroit.
Yes. But I've been to Detroit.
I understand. It was the most not just most unenthusiastic announcement of anything I've ever seen ever. It's like me announcing, to somebody I got herpes or something. It's like, hey, I got herpes.
Spoken from experience.
Yeah, I mean,
One thought I have here. One thought I
was
have here, though,
ridiculous.
kind of laying into what Eric is saying, though. Maybe the person who did the announcement has been to Detroit, Brandon, and maybe he tried to gamble at the MGM Grand, the most depressing place on earth. I've given this story. It was the most depressing, and I
was
like
thinking
gambling.
Eric
I like
might just
gambling.
gave a good comparison. I mean, saying
If
that
you
it's going
want
to be in
herpes,
Detroit is
The
kind of like
national
Eric having
Detroit,
herpes.
the national
He was just
Detroit herpes,
being
same thing per
enthusiastic.
Eric.
Yeah.
I see. We've learned a lot. We really learned a lot.
they probably got all the STDs there. You just got to go out and look for them.
Wow. Just what? Eric endearing himself to the people of Michigan. And by the way, that's him. I've been to Detroit. It was fine. I went to Ford Field. We watched the football game. It was fine. It was fine. Am I going to, endorse it beyond that point, Brandon? I am not. However, it was fine. I was there.
It's
it was
probably
fine.
like I've never been. I've seen video and stuff, and obviously it used to be a really big, booming industrial city. But it's probably like many other cities. You got really nice parts, and then you got parts that you just should stay away from.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Jeff McMahon, who's a regular commenter, has stated that apparently since I haven't been in 10 years, or probably give or take. So he has stated that they have revitalized some of the downtown since then. And like I said, when I was there, it was fine. Again, I'm not going to say it was great. We did have the burning ruins, but if they improved it from the burning ruins, that would be better. So,
Well, so this has always been like a little bit of the talk for the national talk, and we're going to go 2 years, 3 years, I guess, in advance now, since this one just ended.
Mhm.
We need to get the list of the Detroit foods. Because, Chicago's got their deep dish pizza, they got their dogs, all that. I don't know what people really talk about Detroit for food. I've never really.
Lead-based water.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Eric is here.
No, but I
with
mean,
the-
people, seriously though,
It's a fact.
obviously coming out of this one, people are going to need to be figuring out what the good spots are to make some reservations
Don't
and
drink
set
water.
things up and all that. So we're kind of like, people's going to need the inside details, right? I think it's never too early to plan ahead.
Bring your own water. Just
Make your reservations now.
all I'll say is for the MGM Grand Detroit, the restaurant was good. Restaurant was solid. It was decent. That's as far as I'm willing to go, Brandon. That's the best I can do. Best I can do is the restaurant was decent. I ate well. It was fine. Not exactly a ringing endorsement. Alas, Eric, we will not be sponsored, I think, by the Tourism Board of Michigan. I don't think they'll be beating down our door, alas, sadly.
No.
So real quick. So let me ask this. We'll do one quick discussion on this and we'll shift over to the next national topic I've got here. Obviously, like I said, 2028, Eric's enthusiasm. Eric will be there with bells on. Basically, if you listen to the last couple of minutes, you'll see why. But I guess my question would be, it's good. What's funny is that a lot of people are complaining. It's like, oh man, it's always, I agree, it's kind of all Midwestern cities and whatever. But Eric, to be fair,
that'll
work. Detroit hasn't hosted, or Michigan hasn't hosted a national since 1981. It was the second national ever that actually had happened in Michigan. So it's not like they've been to Michigan 57,000 times. Like that hasn't been a thing. And given that Chicago will be the next 2 years, it will be a change of pace, regardless of how you want to see it. And from what I saw about the new convention center, it looks like it'll be fine. I've actually got a Sports Collectors Daily article where they did a little rundown on it to talk about the space of the convention center and a lot of stuff. And apparently there's plans to add some additional space and potentially have a little bridge to a new hotel that's proposed. So if they build out this new hotel, which I guess from what it said would be like 600 rooms, if you add hotel capacity, if you have in fact improved the downtown a little bit, you've got basically 3 years to plan for it. So if by the time you get there, and the convention center is one that holds the auto show. So the fact is they have some room that if you can hold an auto show, Eric, cars are not small. So if you can hold an auto show, you probably got a little bit of capacity. If you have the hotel capacity by then, if the restaurants can hold up to it, which they should be fine, they can house it. Again, literally they have Ford Field, which by the way holds a lot of people. Ford Field holds a couple of people. And they got Comerica Park, which is right beside Ford Field. So you've got those two literally beside each other. So if you can have a baseball game and a football game and manage to be able to hold the capacity, I suspect you'll probably be okay. Especially if they've improved any of the infrastructure in the years since the last time I was there. I wouldn't be surprised if they can handle it. That should be fine. It'll be at least a change of pace. I'll give them that.
So, also just thinking ahead, we need to get an odds going for which will people say was better, Detroit or Atlantic City?
Mm,
I
interesting.
think we got something going there.
That could be interesting. That could be a good thing. Yeah. So, and real quick, any other thoughts then on Detroit being selected to it? I'm neutral. Like, what's funny is
I'll just read this quickly. Just for fun. Despite improvements, Detroit still faces challenges related to crime, particularly property crime, and continues to be ranked as one of the most dangerous cities in the United States.
That's
but
everywhere.
what date
now.
is that? But what date is that, Eric?
Today?
No, but what date is the thing that you're citing there? When was it from?
I typed in Detroit crime rate, and this is what it came up.
Are we taking into account that if Eric goes there, there may be a heist, Dallas, allegedly? Are we counting that? Is that being included as part of the math there? I'm just asking questions. So Eric will give a vote.
Though it maintains a violent crime rate of 20.59 per 1,000 residents.
See, that's 0.2%, Eric. That's maths.
I'll just say when I seen the post and everything announcement, I was surprised that it was Detroit and not Atlanta. But
I wasn't. The dealers are not going to vote for Atlanta. I would be very surprised, especially we're talking the old school dealers. They've had opportunities to go back to Atlanta. Like the last time Atlanta was in the voting, they got destroyed. It was 3rd out of 3. The dealers don't want Atlanta. What I would love, Brandon, what I would actually be interested in is similar to our silly card of the week. I actually want the percentages. I would like the vote totals. I would like to know how close they were.
I just figured because the GOAT's office is in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, you're not the only person to say that, but that's why I said that the Burrell lobby apparently showed its strength.
Yeah.
And crushed the rebellion of the Cardiff HQs.
The GOAT
just made one
lost, Eric. The GOAT lost.
Hey,
I think you're still mad about the ice cream cake thing.
Hey, Tom Brady doesn't have 9 Super Bowls. He's got 7.
Mm.
He lost he lost. No, actually,
he lost
3. Right. So 10. He was in 10 Super Bowls.
10 Super Bowls. He was in 7-3. 7-3 is the record. Yes.
Yeah. So hey, Jeff can't be 100%.
Wow. There you go. So we'll leave that. We'll revisit it in a couple of years when it comes go into it. Okay, so real quick, moving on here. Let me touch on this. We'll go 1 or 2 more topics on the national, and we'll move on. Like I said, we'll talk about some of this. This one will be the topic that I'll be discussing in that separate conversation, but we'll touch on it briefly. One of the interesting things was, and I actually think this is a trend that has been going for a while, but I think we saw it assert itself more this year. We were discussing before we hit record. We weren't sure how long it had been since the new national management took over. We're thinking it was the last Chicago one that was like the first full national where they were like fully getting into it. One of the things that had been going on, obviously, was the old impromptu trade nights going back to 2021. Obviously, this was a very big thing and all that. And Chicago has been a big part of that. The Lowe's Hotel and a lot of that stuff, these impromptu trade nights. If you're the hotel, that isn't necessarily something you're looking to have. Not that there's anything wrong with people being around, but again, if these are not guests of your hotel, and they're not partaking in your restaurants or whatever, they're not customers. At that point, they're loiterers. Like you actually, please get out. Our actual guests would like to be able to move around without a bunch of you people bothering them with Pelican cases. That all said, though, one of the interesting things was the infamous YouTube get-together that's been going on for years. Now, one of the things that I'll check in, and I'll get some confirmation on this, is that last year, like I said, a couple of years ago, I think was the first time this new group took over. Last year was in Cleveland. For them, no issue there because they actually went and rented out, I think it was a Legion Hall. They basically got a space specifically. So in that case, you've rented out a hall, whatever, you do whatever you're going to do. You're in your own space there. This past time around, it was the Embassy Suites, and it was in kind of this big area that they had actually had this YouTube get together before. This isn't the first time that it had been in that place. One of the things that I'll get some clarification on is how the arrangement was done previously, because I'll be curious to get that. I'll ask those questions and we'll get that information. But regardless, the Embassy Suites decided to kind of push it out. Now, one of the things cited, given what was discussed there, is that the national management at least had some sway in that. How much they specifically they targeted it and did things like that is something we'll discuss and we'll figure it out. But regardless, the national is taking a more hands-on approach on events outside of the national that are not directly tied to the national. And what I mean by that is, think about the trade night. The trade night is an official trade night. So it's, in conjunction with the national. So therefore, the trade night is fine, Eric, because they're in cahoots. They're all together and it's part of the deal. So even the vintage trade night, the four collectors guy did, 4, 5, 67 collectors, all of them. They did that. It was actually incorporated into the larger trade night. Like if you went and watched it, like we had the big trade night and they had kind of an area where they could do some stuff, but there was a little bit of disorganization there too. Because if you watch the last live stream, and I'll leave a link in the description, the live stream is kind of the post national discussion. There were some miscommunications with that too. So there was some stuff that could have been improved on that. But regardless, they were kind of just incorporated into the big trade night. They didn't have their own private trade night. It was you're part of the bigger trade night. You can have your section, your area, do your vintage over here. You'll have some space to do your business. But the rest of it is the regular trade night that we're used to from the last several years. So give that preamble. Just some thoughts on kind of the way this is going with it. The national group maybe taking more hands-on approach and a little more controlling with it, and kind of any thoughts on that.
And I think that, I mean, we kind of touched on it before we started recording, but I know people are looking at it as the Nationals being an ass and, they want to control things, but even outside of guests, like let's say the whole hotel is nothing but national attendees, right? So you don't have out of towners or anything, that aren't a part of the national itself staying there. Let's just assume that. What we heard, the way that the 2021 trade night went down, was chaotic. Like we heard people opening these like closets to pull tables out and set up and all of this. And like we seen video where it was just like halls from the lobby and everything just packed with people. If the national like attendance, which it appeared to be, was even larger now than it was back then, imagine if that chaos ensued now. You're not only taking up the space, you got, people are going to have to come back and clean up. But to Eric's point with Detroit, you start risking safety. You got that many people in there and something happens, well, then who's to blame? The hotel. So I think it could be part because you mentioned the trade night is now the official trade night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly when that started, but I know in Atlantic City, they had I think it was Card Collector 2, but it was like with the National because they used the VIP room and everything.
Yeah, it was him and Kentucky Roadshow. Kentucky Roadshow, I think, had been the one who kind of got the ball rolling. Card Collectors who joined him in on that, and they kind of worked together. And it's grown almost every year since, but they're still in leagues with the National is the key.
Yeah,
they're still in leagues with
the
them.
Nationals now put their name on it and everything.
Yeah.
And they advertised that one, but now it's like the official national trade night.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that they've seen what happened in 2021. They've seen the attendance. They've seen all of that. And maybe that's why they shifted, to offering a trade night. Now, to say that, you can't do anything and they're the no fun police, I've been hearing that there was a soccer trade night that wasn't connected with the official one. And it was done at like some soccer field, like a stadium or something that had like, I guess, indoor soccer fields or whatever. So people were setting up events outside of the national and people were attending, other non-national officiated events, but they were planned, they had places, all of that.
Yeah.
I assume they just don't want the chaos in the lobbies of these hotels. And I went to the Atlantic City one. It was at a hotel upstairs. There was like a bar. People were buying drinks and everything. And, everybody was pretty calm and chill. But there was probably, I don't know, 25, 30 people at that one. If I had to guess, I can't remember or count like off the top of my head. But if I had to just take a guess, it was no more than 25, 30 people. the video I seen that I kind of shared with you guys as soon as I seen it pop up with Mike O, there was much more than that. So
Mhm.
they might have seen that and said, "Oh shit, we're gonna have chaos ensuing again," not even realizing what was going on. And it, as innocent as it is, they still have to make sure, because if you let those guys in, well, then who's to say others may not pour in thinking that they could do the same thing? So I think it's a bit the National wants to keep things under control. They got their name attached to some stuff, and also just safety aspects and trying to chaos control for the hotels.
Now, I'll get your thought on this, Eric, in a second. But one thing I want to add, just based on what Brandon said, though, I think also there is a big difference. You talked about that soccer one. There's a difference, though, where if you are the organizers and if you arrange something off site
Hmm.
and do an arrangement with the venue and the venue agrees to it and they understand what they're getting into and whatever, or maybe they are, they might be supplying, out, and maybe they have an alcohol license and they can offer that as part of a cash bar or whatever. Then obviously for them it's like, hey, more money for us, that's cool,
Right.
because there's places that will do different events and you can have that. That's how you do some of these smaller card shows. If you do that arrangement in advance, again, that'll be a separate conversation, a question, but if you are doing that in advance, I think that the venue is going to give more latitude to you because they understand what's going on. They understand what maybe they need more security, and in which case they will get more security. Again, depending on the arrangements you make in advance, if that's part of it. There was also another impromptu trade night that was organized to a point. I don't remember if it was last national or the one before that, but there was one that got so big, the fire marshals or whoever actually had to shut it down, and it was organized. Like they actually had a place, but they went over capacity, and they basically like said, nope, that's it. So, and that was a little bit more organized than just the random hotel. The point is, a hotel lobby is not really necessarily the correct venue for, because they're not setting up for that. The hotel is
Right.
operating as a hotel. They're not, to your point, especially the one that got really crazy back in 21 or whatever it was. That hotel had, they didn't gain anything out of it. For them, it's just these people are in the way, and what are we going to do here? How are we going to figure this? They had no idea how to figure that out. Well, now we're a couple of years in, and if we're going to do more years in Chicago, those same hotels are also not going to be too interested in it. But in the same vein, other side of the equation, the National, since all these hotels are in proximity, like literally right beside the convention center, because they're so close, I suspect the National people book some of these hotel rooms to create something for their corporate partners and all that. So they probably have a little bit of stroke, a little bit of sway in how this is operating. Because yes, we're bringing you the business, but at the same time, also we don't want this stuff, and the hotel also doesn't necessarily. So it's kind of like they're both in agreement. They don't necessarily want this happening on their grounds. So that may make it more understandable why they'd push back on it. So the National, yes, has a say in it. The hotel might also agree, and they might kind of get together and say, yeah, put the kibosh on this.
Speaking on that, and just hypothetically, because I don't know if there's any backing to this, but it could also be a case where the National booking up these hotels, they might be getting a pretty decent rate on it. And
Mhm.
then when people are buying, or booking the rooms through the National, maybe the National is getting a little bit of the cut on that. But if they let shit go haywire in there, the hotel may not continue that agreement
Yeah, they're on the
because,
hook. They're on the hook. They're
yeah,
responsible.
yeah. So it could be part of that too, that they're getting a good deal, good package deal for, absorbing a bunch of the rooms, some maybe even full hotels, and they don't want to lose that relationship.
Mhm. So Eric, take it away. We covered a lot of ground there, a lot of thoughts. But any
Yeah,
thoughts on
I'll
how
just
this is being
recap.
played out? We're just guessing.
Yeah, I hate to go against my brothers and sisters in the hobby, but hundreds of people can't show up at a hotel and take it over. Just you can't do it. Okay, um, not unless the hotel is in on it. They're getting compensated and they have the staff to staff it. Think about any hotel you've ever been to at night. There's like one, maybe two people working the front desk, and you don't see anybody else working there. All right. There might be a few people scattered around the building for emergencies and stuff, but all the staff has gone home. So you're at a card show all day. Then you go out to dinner and you're getting back to this hotel at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever it is, to do a trade night. The hotel is not staffed to deal with hundreds of people at an event at 9 o'clock at night. There's no one there. And So if so, that all has to be thought about well in advance. And someone's got to front the money to pay for the staff to stay, pay them, pay for the ballroom, because every major hotel's got a big ballroom, right? You got to officially rent out the ballroom. You can't do it in the hallways. You can't do it in the lobby. You can't do it in the swimming pool. Okay. You got to rent out the ballroom. You got to compensate the hotel. You got to make sure it's staffed and it's safe. That's what has to happen. Hundreds of people cannot just show up someplace and take it over. And what happened a couple of years ago was not right. It really made, the hobby and the people in it look bad. And of course they're going to say we can never have that happen again, because you will lose your hotel partners when you call up and say, hey, all right, we're coming back to Chicago. We're coming back to this place. And they're going to be like, no. Not after the last time. And then what happens? Now, if you can't get hotels in a major city because of the behavior of the people that are coming in to these conventions, you're going to have to go to a different city. So these are the things you got to think about. So you can't just be like the hotels suck and screw them, and no, they're a business and they're on the hook. I think, Carlos, you used that term, or one of you gentlemen did, on the hook. Yeah, they're responsible for what happens. And again, the fire marshal needs to come in and be like, there's 1,000 people here, just in the hallways and in the lobby and in the pool and in this, and there's 40 people jammed into this room with that's made for 3. I mean, you can't have that.
So Brandon, what I'm getting out of this is that the person putting the kibosh on this is all Eric. Eric's ruining everybody's. We can't even have trade nights in pools because of this man.
No trade night pools.
I thought that's why we were slabbing everything up, is because they were supposed to be, hypothetically waterproof.
Well,
yeah.
Hold on. If you put them in a slab strong,
there's still not any more water. That doesn't help at all. Not even a little bit. Bless his heart, but not so much.
They'll float.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, great. Anyway, so yes. So just some high level thoughts from us. Though we're guessing at this point. We don't know what the arrangement is, but the only thought that I had that we threw out there, because I thought it was worthwhile. Well, now we know 2 things. Now we know Eric was responsible for ruining everyone's fun. So if you're all concerned, it was Eric.
Bobby was responsible for Detroit. Eric was responsible for the hotel shutting.
All the YouTuber get together was ruined by Eric from here. That's how bad it was.
Go home and go to sleep. When I go to the major show up in the Toronto area, okay, and I go to the expo, I'm at the show for like 8 hours a day. I want to get, when it's over, I want something to eat and I want to go to bed. What are you doing staying up all night, basically going to a second card show for another 8 hours? You people are sick. Go to bed. Get some damn rest.
But if it was a knife show.
Oh, that's different. You've got to stay up all night and shopping them suckers.
I'm just saying. We know where the priorities are, people.
Yeah.
We know where it is. All right. Let me quickly move on here. We'll get into, because the next couple of little segments there, we'll go into a couple of things here. Let me just ask this general question. You watch a fair number of videos, Brandon. I watched a ton of the videos from the vlogs and everything. You did a video talking about what your favorites were from all that. Let me just ask a general question. You can take it any direction you want. So from the videos you saw, what's the biggest takeaway? So we talked about beforehand what the headline was going to be coming out of it. I don't think there was any one set headline. I think for the most part, the National just kind of ran. Didn't see anything too scandalous in robberies. Again, the YouTube get-together thing, but that's still small potatoes. In the grand scheme of the National, that's not a big deal. Didn't see anything too crazy. Don't feel like they shattered attendance figure, but attendance seemed to be pretty healthy. It seemed like a lot of people were buying and selling, so there was a lot of people.
I saw more videos of the lines. It was just insane.
Yeah, but even then, there wasn't like videos complaining about a 6-hour wait. Nobody could get out of the parking lot. Again, stuff was happening that involves a lot of people at a big show, but nothing that was so far out of pocket that it became, the weather wasn't too bad, so the air conditioner wasn't pushed, so that wasn't an issue. The Wi-Fi, for the most part, held up. The comfortable shoes were had by all. Like, for the most part, things seem pretty calm. There'll be little things, little issues here and there, but for the most part, it seemed like the national more or less went off without a hitch. Is there any takeaway that you have from this particular national show other than the power of the Burrell in controlling where the next national goes?
So the biggest complaint that I heard overall was the upstairs area, which according to video that I've seen by multiple people that went to the upstairs area, it was not done well. The aisles looked completely like too narrow,
Yeah,
and it
and they had
was
room to
just like,
spare. They had room to spare.
yeah, and so people didn't like the way they did that, and it looked crowded as hell up there with people packed in. So,
Yeah. The good news,
um,
though, is since we saw how much room there was to spare, that's an adjustment they can make. They
yeah,
can
yeah.
literally come back and redo it and make an adjustment and use more of the space. So that's fixable.
Uh, as far as pickups, I mean, obviously, you had Neo. He was going into the show with kind of like a hit list he wanted to go
Mhm.
for, and the surprising thing there is, he didn't even buy a sports card.
Mhm.
He bought one card, and it was Lord of the Rings, and then the other one that kind of I'm gonna give him a little bit of hell on here, and I know he listens to
Okay.
this because he says he does. Um, I was surprised Dustin bought a vintage baseball card. And I don't
Hey,
know
vintage.
if this was one that I know him and Steve are close because Steve's been down and visited him in North Carolina and everything. And I know the 52 tops maze was a hit list card for Steve for a while. But is Dustin trying to pull strings to get his Hall of Fame voting up? Is he pulling the
Mm.
vintage baseball card to get his YouTube Hall of Fame votes up? That's the question I have coming out of the National. Because I just Dustin likes his Saints and his Stranger Things. I've
All
never
right, hold
really
on, hold
seen
on.
him as a vintage
Vintage,
baseball
vintage
guy.
baseball, vintage baseball, vintage.
Oh, only baseball?
So
Because I got
That can be
vintage.
vintage, whatever. Just go vintage.
so that
Vintage.
one kind of surprised me. The LUTX app, I've heard a lot of people praising it, saying it was very helpful, but then I heard back pages say that it wasn't working right. So I don't know if that day he was having issues or what. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything at this point that we know about. There wasn't anything that was like, oh my God, praise the content gods.
Mhm.
It really, and it kind of goes back. I don't know which one of us said it, but it might have been you.
Yeah, I threw it
That it
out
was
as
just
is
kind
it a
of meh.
possibility that it's just is it that was exact, but that was legitimately my question last week. I said, is it a possibility that the takeaway from that's the reason I'm asking this question. Was the possibility that the takeaway from the show is that a big card show happened, a lot of people attended, money changed hands, repackers did their thing, Geoff did his thing, but it just went off and like it was a show.
I think one of the biggest takeaways from it overall for the space in general, it was like 2 months ago or so. There was a lot of talk because of the change in the Pokemon grading with PSA to the sports card grading. People were thinking that sports cards were tapering off, but then we heard a lot from this show. There wasn't a lot of Pokemans there, and
Mm.
the attendance was possibly an all-time high. So I think that debunks the theory that sports cards, were down or the hobby's down or whatever, because it looked like it was a hell of a lot of people there and there was nothing down on it. So I think that would be probably the big takeaway that I've seen from it.
Eric, any takeaways for you from anything you heard or saw?
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
I heard three major complaints in the videos that I saw and the people I've spoken to that attended.
Mm.
Three major complaints. The first, there were too many people.
Mm.
Side note, the majority of those people still to this day do not understand what deodorant is. It's still something we're working on in this hobby. I know that, some people put out some PSAs and made some comments on the on the onlines and the interwebs, trying to advise people. But still, to this day, some people in this hobby do not understand deodorant and cleanliness, and there was some stank, from what I understand. Difficulty getting to tables, seeing tables, waiting too long to talk to dealers so they can buy cards because there's too many people at the tables. But you're going to get that at a big show. We saw the line videos. I mean, they're just unbelievable, absolutely insane. The fact that there's that many people there continues to discourage me to ever go. I never ever want to go to a place that the line is a mile, literally a mile long. I have no interest. No, never getting me there. Unless I get in for free, I get a pass to go in early, and I get limo rides to and from. Then I will gladly attend.
Would you accept an bougie Eric Pope mobile?
Yeah,
just asking.
Totally. So yeah, too many people. I heard that complaint. There was just too many people upstairs, downstairs, left stairs, right stairs. Okay, too many people. The second, something we hear at most shows, that the prices were too high. Okay, people were complaining. The dealers want, all this extra money and 90% comps and 100% comps and comps and comps and comps. Well, I've yet to meet a buyer that has ever been happy with handing their money over. So it works great to get on your phone, go on the interwebs, look at a card, see how it's sold, and show the dealer that it sold for 50% less, and you get the card for that, and you walk away happy. When you show up and use the same strategy, and the dealer's using the same strategy, and he's like, see, it's not that price, it's actually higher at this price, and that's what I want, you now think that's not fair. So if the dealer wants to sell it for 100% comps and use the comps and use the market movers and the card ladders and the eBays sold and the same thing you're doing, and they're going, yeah, I'm doing the same thing, and these are the numbers, you can't complain. So stop complaining that the prices are too high. Don't buy it. I go to shows all the time. How much do you want for that? $5 million. Okay, good luck. Have a nice day. And I'm off to the next table. I'm not making a video going, it's not fair. People are charging too much money.
This is why, Brandon, he's ruining trade nights. Like Eric is destroying. Eric is the no fun police.
Don't buy it. Don't buy.
All right, what's the third thing, Eric? Third thing.
Okay, third thing. This is the thing that people are the most upset about. I mean, rageful. And that is Beckett to not do anything overly stupid.
Those people are you? Or those people? How many of those people are whose names rhyme with Derek?
You may be onto something, but
I'm just throwing it out there.
The only thing I look forward to all year long is Beckett making an absolute fool of themselves at the National. And so far, I have not had any reports of them doing such. Therefore, this National is a complete bust. It's the worst National ever. And I give it 2 stars.
There you go. Brandon, we've learned a lot today. We really have. Believe it or not, I've got a couple more things, but we're actually making good time, but we'll actually get here. So those of you who complain that the episodes are too long, we're gonna get in a good spot, I think, today. So I've got some sweet capital hockeys, but we'll touch on that next week. We'll skip that ahead. Right now, let me touch on 2 things though. One thing we didn't talk about in the pickups, I forgot I was going to mention this. I actually decided to take a look at something for one of my collections. It's not really a pickup per se, but it is something that I picked up in the sense of basically to put some cards away. One of the things that I've talked about that I collect, that I'm working on, a project that I'm working on, it's a 63 Fleer baseball set. And that set is about 66, 67 cards. I forget the exact number on the check right now. Clear. Exactly.
What's the big card in the set? Who's the big player in the 63?
There's actually a couple of different players into it.
Okay.
You do have what's his name? I always forget who the rookie is. I'll look it up in 2 seconds. But you do have a Whaley Mays in it. You do have a Sandy Koufax in it. You don't have a Mickey Mantle because I think they were proposing to do a second series and that never materialized. But you do end up you've got basically some other early 60s stars included in it.
Yep.
And I've got actually a number of them, so it's actually pretty good. Who's the rookie in this one? It was actually, let me go in here and I'll pull it up. That way I can get it here. The big card that you're looking at, 63, Maury Wills. Maury Wills is the big one that's included in there because Topps didn't actually have him for years after the fact because they actually didn't think he was going to be anything, so they never signed him to a contract. So as a result, the rookie card of Maury Wills is 63 Fleer. By the way, that was not his actual rookie season. He was actually delayed in that sense. It was actually very interesting the way by that point he'd actually been an NL most valuable player. So he was an MVP who didn't have a rookie card until 63 Fleer. So that obviously is a big card in that set. And then again, you do have some other stars in there that are included as part of it, which is pretty good. But I decided to do it for the set registry. I don't do too many set registries, but that one I figured was a set that was a decent enough size that I could handle that. And I figured why not I would do it. But because I'm doing all those inside of the PSA slabs, they do obviously take up a fair bit of room. I have some of those boxes that can hold them, but I decided to go and pick myself up. I was curious. I decided to get one of the binders that can hold PSA slabs. And specifically, in this case, I got it on old Amazon. Let me go here and zoom in a little bit. So the company is called Fun Guys. I've actually had a couple of their binders before. One of their binders is for like top loaders. Well, this one is for the PSA slabs. So you can see the size of the binder there like that. And you've actually got a label on the side of it that you can put on there. And they've got two models. One model is 60 cards and the other model is 40 cards. But since the checklist is under 70 cards, I figured I would do 240s. It would probably make more sense. But here, you can see, and you've actually got room for PSA slabs. So you can do 4 to a page and actually set them all up there. So you got Willie Mays right there, Carl Yastrzemski. So you can go in. And actually this covers 1 through 40. And then the second one will actually cover the remainder of the set. So I figured it would make more sense. There's also another one that holds 60 cards, and you can have that instead if you want. But I figured 40 cards would be enough. This is going to weigh a fair bit when it's done. But because of the way they did it, you can actually zip this up, and it's got a little label on the side of it. Pretty decent quality, actually. But it creates a situation where you're going to need pretty tall bookshelves if you want to do that. Or you can lay them kind of flat on the side if you want to. So you've got some options in it. But I just thought I would try this as a different way of housing the cards, especially since I can actually house the set in 2 of these. 2 of these will house the whole set.
That's pretty interesting. I'm going to put some thought into that myself because I got the 6970 set. It's a 132 card set. And I have the majority of it slabbed in PSA slabs. I have all the big cards and I just need I'm filling it up with the lesser ones. And, I probably have like 90 something cards in slabs. So, but it's 132 cards. So I'd have to get I'd have to buy like 3 of them.
I think you'd have to get 3 for you. You said you've got most of the set in the slabs. Do you plan on having the whole set in slabs at some point, or just most?
That's what I want to get the whole thing in 7 and above.
Yeah, then I would do 2 because this is the 40s. So for this set, 2 40s makes sense. Again, 67, 70 cards. 2 of them would hold 80, so that's perfect. But they've also got ones that hold 60. So in that case, you do 2 60s and a 40, and you're more than covered.
Yeah, that might be interesting. You said you got it on the Amazons, huh?
I got this one on Amazon. There are a couple. I know Wes on the Discord, which was checking out a different brand. But this one, I thought, like I said, I've got one for top loaders. And I've been I keep some of the Brett Favres, some of the not so fellas in the top loader binder, and it holds them great. And I just thought I would check this out. And actually, I'm kind of impressed. I like the fact it zips up, and I like the fact you got a little label on the side that you can write in your little thing there. Makes my life easy. And I could literally put these beside each other. So I was like, you know what? I figured I'd even try. I like it. I actually grabbed a third of these also to house some of my other cards.
Remember roughly how much they cost?
$35 or $30.
Okay.
So it wasn't terrible.
Right. So you're not spending $100 on the thing and then realize that's not something you want to do. It's like $35 and see where it takes you.
Yeah. I bought 3 of them and it cost me $101 with shipping and taxes.
All right.
So it wasn't too bad.
I may look into it because, you know, I mean, the boxes are great and everything, but to have something that you can kind of, you know, not so much display, but look through and flip through and see things a little bit nicer. Yeah, it might be a change of pace, something
Yeah.
new and interesting.
Yeah. One thing I will say though, Brandon, is in this case, this one is they advertise it as being for PSA slabs. I would agree with that. I think you could fit the other slabs into it, but I don't think it would fit comfortably. I
You
think
can
with the
Beckett.
PSA ones, it's fine.
The
I
CGC
think
is
Becca would be
probably
a little
okay.
awkward. I would wager though, they probably have a model that probably has slightly bigger pockets because again, remember the PSA ones are a little bit thin compared to some of
Yeah.
those other ones. So it actually makes it easier to fit. That way, like you can see, it's already pretty thick, but it's got a little room to go. So it's actually works fine. But I think if you wanted a Beckett one or the other ones, I think you would need a thicker version of this. And they may have one because obviously those other graders are there.
I think the
SGC
CGC
wider.
would fit fine. Beckett and SGC might be a little difficult.
I
Yeah.
think those would be a little tough. I think it'd be a little awkward. So just
The
something to think about.
CGC
For me,
slab's
it's
a tiny bit thicker, maybe, but
yeah.
it's just
I think
that shouldn't be
for a lot
problem.
of us, yeah, I think for a lot of us doing our collections, we are looking for different ways of housing because again, I have 2-row boxes that are for graded cards and it
Yeah.
works fine. And for the majority of my graded cards, and I still have a fair number of them, it's perfectly fine. There's no issue with it as it is. However, for stuff like this, in this case, it's a PSA set registry, so all the cards are going to be PSA, so it's standardized, so I don't have to worry about different. For my regular sets, like my 53 Bowman color, I have graded cards, but I've got SGC, I've got BVG, I've got CGC, I've got all of them. I've got PSA as well. So in that case, leaving them in the box makes perfect sense. There's no reason to take it out of it. Just leave them all there. Or if I've got way more, like I've got a Packers team set that I'm working on, that can stay in the box. That's perfectly fine. It's right there. It's like a dozen cards, so it's okay. But in this case, for the set, I figured 2 of these would do the job, and why not? Little change of pace, a different way of housing the cards. So I'll report back my findings once I'm done. But I've got 2/3 of the set now in these 2 binders. So I've got
Good.
2 of those now.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I thought I would share that real brief. One more thing then. Let's do this and we'll finish off, I think, in a reasonable length episode then. On the video that I did, I talked about my pet peeve being, it's kind of a pet peeve is the way I would call it. The whole idea of saying, I don't understand why, question. So we can address that, but we can also address my other little pet peeve kind of question. The reason that I don't like it is because a lot of times when I hear it, what follows is not a sincere question. Because when you're saying, I don't understand why, a lot of times that's you not even trying to figure it out. Like a lot of times you can figure it out on your own. A lot of that stuff is very straightforward. I use the example of I don't understand why people open boxes, and my answer was mostly gambling. Like especially as the prices have gone up, that's really kind of where the focus is going to be. But I gave a very specific example. For me, yeah, I actually like gambling. I don't have to because the example I gave was for my wrestling card channel. Link in the description. But for that channel, I'll open a couple of boxes of all the new products that come out for Upper Deck AEW is what they do. But the thing is, they only release 3 products a year on average. So if I open a couple of boxes, that's like 6 boxes. And I may get a couple more if some of them go on discount. Like if they get discounted, then fine. But for the most part, that's it. I've had a product of theirs in the past where I was able to get the boxes. So I opened up 2.5 cases of one of those products. But I got those boxes, most of them, very inexpensively. So fine, great, awesome for me. But most of them, I'll get 1 or 2 boxes. I'll do a video where I'll open it up. I'll give my opinion, my thoughts. I've shared feedback with Upper Deck on this in the past in various capacities, and I've done that. But it's because I like, number one, I like the cards. But number two, I like to look at them myself. I like to open it myself and get my own opinion about how I feel about the experience of opening it. That's what I'm sharing on the video. But then also, I am taking a chance because occasionally I will pull some really nice cards out of it that I wouldn't necessarily go and chase as a single. However, and we were talking about this before I hit record, if we're talking about efficiency, if we're talking about what makes the most sense, just using the 2 boxes that I'm talking about, I pre-ordered 2 boxes of something that's coming out this week. The 2 boxes cost me $165 per. With taxes and everything, it's going to be $372. That's $372 I could use for singles. I could get a lot of good singles, Brandon and Eric, for $372. I could get a bunch, and I could pick and choose exactly what I want. So I'm not recommending it to you. And for a PC purposes, I'm not recommending it to you. But if I pull a really great card, well, then I can put it on eBay, I can flip it, whatever. But I'm not counting on that. It's still a gamble. I am gambling with it, but I'm also going to make a video out of it. I'll have some fun with it. The channel isn't even monetized, Brandon. I can't even say it's a write-off because the channel isn't monetized. It doesn't have enough subscribers and hours for that. But I enjoy doing it. I like to see what's inside. It's like opening the present. If I go on eBay and I buy it, I know exactly what I'm getting. Like I just showed you the Josh Rosen card. It's not in hand. First, it's got to go from the seller to my ship my cards. Then from my ship my cards to me. It will get to me. That card that I show you will be in my possession in the not too distant future. But there's no surprise. I know exactly what I'm getting. So, whereas opposed to in that box, Brandon, anything could be in there, even a boat.
Yep.
And until I open
Yeah.
it, I'm not going to know.
I mean, it's no secret. I've shared it. Me and my wife used to open a lot of boxes. I mean, I would order by the case sometimes, and that was also before things got the way they are today. And then that's made the decision, it became, you can open wax, and although it still is gambling doing it, you can do it to have fun, like with what you're doing. Going in that your risk is high and your return is probably low, but you enjoy doing it. You enjoy opening it. You enjoy the cards. You have a PC of wrestling stuff. You also do the videos, talk about the product, share it, all of that. There's a fun element to it. If you hit a big card, great. If you wipe out and don't hit anything, you're not worried because you had fun doing the video and everything.
Sometimes that makes for a better video, by the way. Some of the better viewed videos are where I actually had the worst box in the entire run. And I stand by that. It might be the worst box in the entire run.
Because those videos show the reality of what the products are. Because so many times when you're watching people, like people will record it, but they won't upload unless they have a hit. Because they're like, oh, nobody's going to want to see this, this trash. And they're pissed off because they lost a bunch of money and everything else. So that shows the reality of it. It's showing not every box, not every box is good. Most aren't. But, and we've had the discussion before. When it started becoming a severe imbalance of, cost versus return, and especially, shifting back into the collecting and stuff, the two pickups I showed earlier, these cost me like $60, and one's an auto, one's a numbered card. So it depends on what approach you want to take to the hobby. Unfortunately, there is a lot of gamblers. And I say unfortunately, not because, it's a bad thing that people gamble. It's unfortunate because some people will lose the money, be fine, and carry on with their life. But some people get themselves so far in debt that they don't know how to recover. They'll leave the hobby. They'll, maybe depressed or whatever else. And that's not good. That's not a good path in something that's supposed to be fun. So, but then you got to look at the other side of it. When somebody says, I don't understand why people are opening boxes. Well, how the hell else are you supposed to get the singles? If nobody opened boxes, then we're not getting singles, So it's two sides to the coin. People condemn and hate breakers, and if it's done correctly and people are doing it responsibly, maybe it's a team collector and they buy their teams, or maybe it's people, instead of paying for a box or a case or whatever, they can get in cheap, in little chunks, and that sometimes helps put stuff into the marketplace for people that want singles. I mean, look at the Jason Robertson stuff that I bought and how hard it was to find it. It wasn't that the cards were rare, but then you couple the lack of the product being opened, and it made it even more increasingly rare to find. So we have to have the ecosystem working for everybody to be happy.
Yeah. Now, bottom line though, and part of the reason I explained that in the video was that when a lot of times when that question is being asked with that preamble, with that precursor, it's a person who will not be participating in that segment of the hobby anyway. I use box breaking as an example, but a lot of times the people that ask that question have no intention of breaking boxes. So I'm not interested in convincing you. To be clear, I'm not interested in convincing you. It's not my job to do that. As long as somebody is doing it responsibly, again, it's not really your business. Go on about, do your thing your way, collect the way you want to do it. There are folks like me out there. The short answer is because it is a gamble, and I like to gamble a little bit. I don't mind it. I'm not going to open cases and cases most of the time because simply it's too cost prohibitive. I could raise Eric's like button fee, but there's only so much we can do there. So there are limits to that. So, but
Well,
I'll open a couple of boxes of each one that comes out. That's great by me. But I'm not telling you to do that, and I'm not suggesting you do that. But you also not really needing the answer to that question because what difference does it make if you're not
right.
going to participate in any way?
Everybody has to find their spot, their little comfort zone in the hobby. Like I could say I don't understand why people collect 68, 69 O-Pee-Chee. I mean, because I don't do that. I can say I
Weirdos,
don't understand it,
weirdos.
but there's people that do. And but is that any of my business? No. They enjoy it for whatever reason, and I'll leave it to be at that. But they you could say that for anything, and just because you're not partaking in it doesn't mean that someone else doesn't enjoy it.
Yeah. And they're weird people. Just saying,
Yeah.
very strange people. There is one more though, same vein, similar thing, different question though. And this is one that comes up on Facebook groups all the time. And it is one of my biggest pet peeves. I thought I would share this one with you guys. I'll check it from time to time, especially some of those Facebook groups. I don't follow a lot of Facebook. I'm not like the Burrell and I don't spend a lot of time on it, but I will occasionally pop in. And the thing that irritates me the most, makes my eyes glaze over completely, is when someone will post, "Hey, looking for some information on this. I can't find any comps on it. Like, well, how much is it worth or whatever." But I'll look at the thing, and it's not a one of one. It's not this crazy. It's like a generic insert that's like two to a box or something, or like something that's maybe a couple of box, one and a couple of box. But it's and for fun, I will go on quickly on therapy, and I'll punch in a couple of words, and I'll find 20 comps in the last 2 weeks, 20 or 30 or 40. Like there's an abundance of data. We're not short, Eric. There's no shortage of data to answer this. So what you're saying to me, so the reason it's a pet peeve of mine, in the same vein as that first question, it's not that you can't find comps, is that you were too lazy to even look. There is no way you made even a token attempt to look at it. You just want everybody else to do the work for you. Hence, it's a big pet peeve of mine, Eric. A huge one.
Yeah. Eric even knows how to probably use Google Lens.
Laziness is never acceptable.
And one of those things, I almost feel like I want to tell everybody else in the Facebook group, don't answer it. Go and it's like 2 or 3 words, punch it in to the Google yourself. The answers you seek are right there. This card is not rare enough for you not to be able to find. If it's a one of one, yes, getting a comp is a bit difficult. Figuring out what you should ask for or whatever, what you should offer. Yes, Eric, in that situation, yes, that is difficult because it's not obvious.
And if it's a one of one, of a cut autograph of some kind of legend from the 50s, that's going to be very difficult. But there, how many one of one autographs there are of freaking Mahomes? Like 1,000, maybe 2,000, maybe 1 million. So there's comparable things out there. There are other one of one Mahomes autographs that you could compare and go, okay, well, it's not exactly mine, but it's pretty close. Same company made it. The picture's actually the same. The sticker probably came off the same sticker sheet.
Well, it's just like, I was just joking, but to play devil's advocate here, let's say they don't know what the card is called. In all seriousness, we have the photo recognition now. In eBay, you can click the camera and take a picture of the card, and it's going to bring it up. So or you can go to Google and use Google Image or Google Lens and take a picture of it, and it's going to at least tell you what the card is, and then you can go over to eBay and type it in because you know what it's called. I have issues with, sometimes if I buy a shirt, okay, I might know the brand, but I don't know which like model or what it's called, a North Face what jacket, right? If I just put in North Face jacket, that's going to be a generic title and it's not going to be easily found. So I use Google Lens all the time for many different things, just because it will give me the name, the model, whatever, serial numbers, all that stuff. And yeah, So you're right. It's just laziness. I think sometimes it's people doing it just to feel attention, like to feel like they're getting feedback.
Mhm. It's one of those things where, like, when it comes to those things, if somebody legitimately is trying to figure something out that's more obscure, something that's trickier to figure out, like, there are things like that. Something is maybe a
Mhm.
tougher pull or whatever, and it doesn't commonly come up. And even if you did a search, you wouldn't necessarily come up with a lot of answers. Then you can lean on the more experienced folks who maybe know a little bit more about it, who can then fill in some of the blanks and answer some of those questions. I don't even mind that. I don't. It's when the answer is right in front of your face and you're not even willing to look directly in front of your face to get the answer to the question, where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to expend any energy here to shortcut this for you. Figure it out on your own. Because at that point, like, there is no I'm not expecting everybody to know how to use Terapeak as efficiently as someone who's been doing it for a while. But again, you could punch in a couple of words sometimes, and that's enough. Sometimes the answer is just look at the thing and start there and then begin. If you've at least shown me that you've at least tried, and I'll use an analogy here, Eric.
Yeah.
Back in an old job, when I was working in that call center that I talk about something sometimes on the Friday Live because it's a lot of fun. I also did a little bit of help. I was floor support. Floor support means that if you get stuck, you don't know what to do, you can ask for help in the
Right.
sense of either how to deal with something, or maybe the customer's being belligerent and you need somebody to take over and, help talk them
Those
down
are
or
always
whatever.
the best.
Yeah. And I've done all the above. But sometimes it's just, this is the problem I'm encountering. These are the issues that I'm finding. I'm not sure what to do next because we had all this documentation, all these steps you could take and whatever. But if you don't know how to diagnose the situation, you're trying to figure out, like, okay, but what do I even tell them to do? Rather than just give them the answer every time. But sometimes I would just give them the answer. If it's a really tough one, it's a little more obscure. Sometimes I just go, all right, you do this, this, and this. Ask them this question and blah, blah. I'd walk them right through it from end to end. I'd walk them how to do the whole thing. Sometimes I'd say, okay, what have you done so far? First question I ask, what have you done so far? Okay. And when you did that, what did they tell you? So what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to teach you how to figure it out. And I'm going to take you right up till the point of the final answer. And then I want you to come to the conclusion and find the answer. Because if you do that, you're probably going to learn it a lot better than if I just give you the answer right away. Because most of the time, when it's a lot of those ones, I knew what the answer was, Eric. Within about 30 seconds, I knew what the problem was, and I could have just told you, yeah, tell them to do this, this, and this, and boom, you're off. You're off to the next call. Or I could teach you how to fish. Take a couple extra minutes, teach you how to fish, and then the next time you get a call that's exactly like this, you already know what to do next and what question to ask. And all right, they told me this, and then yeah, the last time when Carlos told me this situation, oh, this is what it was. And now you can try that and go, all right, now you're better off than when we started the conversation. You're actually better served because now you don't have to ask that same question again. Now maybe the next one will be something more obscure, more complicated, but you learn something.
Yeah, like you said,
And
teach
some
a man,
people will take notes.
teach a man to fish. He'll be, he won't be hungry his whole life. Give a man a fish, he'll only, be okay for a day or whatever the hell the saying is. So yeah, teach him how to fish.
Yeah. And I find that to be, you got to think ahead. But I treat this thing the same way though. A lot of people just give them the answer. It's like they're not going to learn anything if you just give them the. I want you to do the bare minimum amount of. I'm not asking a lot, Brandon. I just want you to do the bare minimum amount of effort to figure it out on your own. At least show me that you at least tried to find the answer to the question, because 99 times out of 100, the answer is right there. I can almost guarantee it. There is the odd occasion, in which case, yeah, then defer to the more knowledge, to the folks that have some more experience, maybe been around the block on that, maybe know the set better or whatever. I look at all the checklists on those AEW things all the time, so I know the checklist inside and out by the time we get into the release. But not everybody's going to do that. So I get that. So when they see a certain thing, it's like, well, is this a rare one? It's actually, that's one every couple of boxes. It's not common, but it's not rare. It's one of those things where it's a nice card though. So enjoy it, whatever. But if you're not willing to look it up, this again, the odds are on the side of the box. So the answer to your question, the odds are on the side of the box. Literally look at the box or the pack that you have in your hand. The answer's right there. That'll tell you how many one in how many packs is it? 1 in 100 packs. How many packs are in a box? 16 packs in a box. Hey Eric, that sounds like a reasonably tough card. That sounds like 1 in every 8 boxes or so. Maybe that's decently tough. That's the answer to your question. instead of asking me if it's rare, Brandon, the answer's right there. Look at it.
Yeah, and I think that's another big part of an issue where we're at right now in today's space is there's so much out there, but there's so many people that don't want to take the time to actually look to see what it is. That's why the serial numbers, like they're hell bent on the serial numbers when sometimes there's stuff without serial numbers that are more that are harder to hit than the serial number stuff. So, but that's where doing your own research can help you out on your end. So,
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. But as I said, that's one of my pet peeves. So I'll throw that one out there as one thing that I don't mind if somebody doesn't understand something, because I don't expect everyone to understand everything. There's too much stuff out there. There's too much that a lot of people can't possibly know. But I think you will actually do better if you give that initial attempt to try to figure out some of the answers, because that's how a lot of us got to the point that we know. The reason we know some of the stuff is because we tried to figure it out.
mm-hmm.
And in the attempt to try to figure it out, we learned a lot of stuff along the way. That's how we did it. There was no magic to it. I didn't just have the phone a friend. Today I can reach out to folks and get really quick answers on some stuff, and that's great. But I still want to try it. Usually I'll still give it a go myself just to see if I can find the answer. If I'm really stumped, then yeah, go to phone a friend. But otherwise, no, give it a try. That's how I learned some of this stuff, just by doing, experiencing, and being there before I asked somebody else the question to get the answer. All right, so I'm just looking here, and I think that is it. Yeah, I think that's good. I got a couple more things on here, but we can save them to next week if you're amenable to that. So I think that's good. Leave a little meat on the bone for the peoples. Brandon, I think that's an episode.
I just want to end with, if anyone out there that's listening or watching this, well, first, shame on you, but second, if you know of anything that Beckett may have done that was stupid during the National, please reach out to us. We want to know. Thank you.
So I'll finish on this. Good episode. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. We had a little fun. Again, there will be another video related to the National where we'll talk about some of that stuff. I've already given a few hints, so you can read between the lines. You'll figure it out. But what I would love, Brandon, I think this week, if we can get some engagement on it, what I would love is, how about some hobby pet peeves? I share with you one of mine. This is between that first question and this one, I share with one of my big pet peeves is somebody going into, I use Facebook as an example, but it can be message boards, it can be forums, it can be videos, it can be people who are asking 1,018 questions, but making absolutely no effort and attempt to answer any of these questions themselves. Literally leaning on everybody else to do all the work while they want to be the beneficiary of it. They want all the answers, but they're not willing to put in any of the energy or effort to answer their own question. That's a major pet peeve of mine. That has always been a big one, and it remains a big one. But any hobby pet peeves for you folks? And don't just say Geoff Wilson. Eric will be very sad.
No.
I'm not talking about people. I mean pet peeves of things people do. That's what I'm actually asking for. I'm asking for things people do or say.
I'd like to talk about it again in the future, but I touched on one earlier when it was, you standing there with your phone out looking at comps, and, you love looking at comps when they work for you, but when it works for the seller, you want discounts and you want deals, and then you complain that they stick to the comps. When the comps work in your favor, you're like, here are the comps. This is all I'm gonna pay. That drives me nuts. If you got to look at your phone and find the number, then that's the number. Whether that you can't just have it your way. It's just that just drives me nuts.
I think one for me is, and maybe this is just, I don't know, maybe I'm being grumpy old man here. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll let you know.
Or
I'm an expert.
Or back, just the shift back into how I'm approaching things now. But in my video, like the reason that I had the thought to do that video was watching various content, both on YouTube and, seeing posts or reels or whatever on Instagram. It never really, I guess I just never paid enough attention to connect it, but it was really obvious during the National. But the pet peeve would be is, why in the hell does every post have to be about how much a card is worth or how much it was spent on it? And the reason I say that is watching some of the guys, you know, whether they're doing vintage cards or just collecting in general, you were hearing stories about the card or why they wanted the card or like it completed like your Fleer set or whatever. It wasn't like they weren't even saying how much they were paying for the stuff. It was like giving you information about the cards or whatever. And it was just I don't know. It's like you have two different sides of the coin there. The one side is appreciating the cards, the other side it was all about the dollar signs. So I just I like why does Topps every time they post something have to be about oh my god this was just pulled, it's $100,000 card or whatever. Like how in the hell do you know it's $100,000 card if it's never sold? If it was just pulled and it's never sold, how in the hell do you know what it's worth? So I don't know. Maybe that's just me getting old.
Good day. On that bombshell. So we'll throw it out to you if you folks in the comments section want to add your own. Again, not people. I'm talking about things that people do or approaches they take to it, kind of what we were talking about. Again, I gave you an example of a question that kind of irks me. That's a pet peeve of mine. But again, you've got some other examples here that you can use that'll be good examples to it. So that'll be it for this one. More videos coming up on the channel as always. For live stream on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the longest running episodic, whatever it is. We're heading into episode 251. Very exciting. Over 250 consecutive weeks. Eric is very excited about this. He cannot contain his excitement. It's unbelievable. You got Brandon, Bobbles and Baller Cards, known associated 540 Flips, and man who's telling you to get off his lawn. We got Eric
No.
Sanderson Door, the complaint department. You can reach out to Eric Sanderson Door. You can tell him, hey, Eric, watch out for that zombie Bork. Stop destroying patch cards. Stop using body paint on people. Ask their permission first. Boundaries, Eric. Boundaries.
Body paint.
Boundaries, Eric. Boundaries. More important questions like that. So next week will be podcast episode number 140. So we're moving on all the milestones. We got to 250 on the lives, and we're moving closer and closer to episode 150 on the podcast episodes. Now, I haven't looked at the calendar, Eric, but I got to say, like, that's 11 more episodes. How close does that take us to Expo? That's got to be getting us dangerously close to Expo. I'm just thinking a little ahead. I'm just wondering if I start adding up the numbers, how close does that get? Because I just like the fact that 250 fell right on National Week. I don't know. I don't think we'll get exactly to the week, but it's got to be getting pretty close to it. So we'll see. Maybe it will be the case. We love when the milestones fall on perfect timing. Anyway, that's it for us on this one. In the comment section, feel free to respond to any element we gave it. If you got questions, comments, thoughts, or anything, thank you to AMG for supporting as always. We appreciate them. And we'll catch you in the next one.